Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Ruben Amorim decides that he wants Casemiro to stay if he'll take a pay cut. Harry Maguire as well. We've got a young player heading out on loan, and with the way the title is, well, not the title, God, don't say the title, don't mention the title, but with the way the fixtures have been going this weekend, I'm seeing more and more people on That's Football watch-alongs talking about Manchester United in the top four. Some people are even talking about a title race. It's hard to say because we've got these big games coming up, these 10 games that are all apparently winnable. But, I mean, you know, is it possible that Man United go for top four and not top five? We'll get into that as well tonight as well. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about the situation with Casemiro. But before I talk about that as well, apparently the volume's quiet. I can't figure out this. Like, I don't know whether it's a bit of a troll in the chat. If someone wants to derail the show with volume problems, I've literally changed nothing from the watch along. So if there is a problem with the volume, I haven't done anything. So I'm sort of lost. Do we carry on with the show or not? There is nothing changed. I've just checked the settings there. So is it low? Is it quiet? I don't know what to do. It's fine. Okay. Right, we'll carry on. So, look, I want to talk about Casemiro. We want to talk about Amorim and why he would want to do this. Personally, I think I don't want to keep Casemiro. I want to know what your opinions are. I don't want to keep Casemiro. But I think if we've got any moderators, if you could block permanently anybody saying low volume, that would be brilliant. You have my authority to do it. You're probably going to block 200 people, but get to work. I'm not having people messing around with the start of the show like that, so get rid of them. Don't really care. We've got over 2 million subscribers. I couldn't give a shit about 200 trolls, so get rid of them. Let's talk about Casemiro. But first, before we get into that, let me just say the show is sponsored by Surfshark, a virtual private network, which you can get a great deal through the United Stand with. Surfshark is a virtual private network. One of the coolest features of Surfshark is its ability to change your virtual location on platforms like Netflix. So basically, you can be in New York, like I was last week, but I could log into my London-based or UK-based platform, because you can basically say that you're in London when you're in New York, or you can say you're in Delhi when you're in Mexico. That's what you do with a VPN, which is very useful for certain things that you might want to watch that is not available in your own country. You can get this virtual private network system through Surfshark exclusively with the United Stand. You can get a fantastic deal, and that deal essentially is this. You can get 30-day back money guarantee. And also you get 4 months free with the code United Stand. So check it out, absolutely fantastic. You can use it on your phone and your laptop at the same time, so simultaneous use on different platforms. Also, it works on Android, iOS, Linux, Amazon, and all that jazz as well. So check out Surfshark, a fantastic little offer. The link is in the description for you in relation to that. But big shout out to Surfshark. Elliot Anderson or Belabor, who would you buy, says Porth Anderson. We call them Deadwood, but he wants to keep them, says Hader. Well, look, this is coming in from Fabrizio Romano. Basically, he says Manchester United want to continue with Casemiro. The club would want to give him a new contract on lower wages. This is David Ornstein. This is Fabrizio Romano. This is a person that, you know, has very, very, very good contacts around the world of transfers. So Man United, Ruben Amorim want to keep Casemiro. Now, I'm completely opposed to this, and I want to sort of get into this because it mentions the same thing. He mentioned the same thing about Harry Maguire as well. And look, we're all entitled to our opinions. Would you keep Casemiro? This is the first question, and you can answer it. There is no doubt, absolutely no doubt, he's our best midfielder. There is no doubt he's having a good season. Those things are non-negotiable for me. He was absolutely terrible for the last 18 months, and he's playing really well over the last sort of 6 months, you know, back end of last season into this season. There's no doubt about that. But we have a midfield problem. Everybody knows we have a midfield problem. We had a midfield problem with Ten Hag here, and Casemiro was part of that midfield. We were getting run through all the time. We still have that midfield problem. It's only being negated by the fact that we have a back five that if teams run through our midfield, they've still got to go through a back five. And it surprises me that some people can't analyse that tactically, because in a 4-3-3, you could park a fucking jumbo jet in our midfield. It was getting run through all the time, and Casemiro was the holding midfielder. We still get run through now, but we have a back five. So we're harder to actually exploit even if you run through the midfield. So we still have a midfield problem. And Casemiro may be our best midfielder, but he ain't got the legs. So we can upgrade Casemiro and upgrade our team, or we can keep Casemiro and still have an okay Casemiro who hasn't really got the legs. So I don't really see why we would not want to upgrade a player at 34 who doesn't have the legs anymore. But I have to say, before I moan and rant and rave about it, is this not just another key indicator of the problems that Manchester United face in getting back to the top? Because why would you get polish a turd FC, says Keel. Put it like this, right? I'm Ruben Amorim, Jason Wilcox or Berrada knock on my door and they say, need to talk to you about the midfield. I can get you Elliot Anderson and I can get you Baleba, or we can give Casemiro a new contract. Yeah, don't worry about Anderson. Get me Baleba and we'll keep Casemiro. Keep the money, you know, put it towards the debt or whatever, yeah? Don't worry about Baleba and Anderson. Just get me Baleba, I'll keep Casemiro. Happy days, see you later. Do you genuinely think Ruben Amorim's doing that? And I think sometimes before we moan and say, you know, some people might want to keep Casemiro, but let's read the room here. This is Manchester United. This is a Glazer football club. If we are thinking about keeping Casemiro and we want Casemiro to stay, I think that's a bloody big indicator that he's basically being told, we ain't got the money for the midfield you want. We can get you one midfielder, but we can't get you two. In which case, you would go, I don't want Casemiro to go then. If you can only get me one midfielder, I can't lose Casemiro. I can't do it. Because, yes, he's 34. Yes, he's on the decline. But he's still the best I've got. And if I'm only getting one midfielder, you need to try and keep him here. And that's what worries me about this. Only a plonker thinks keeping Casemiro for the long term is a good idea. I think it's a terrible idea. And also, what happens next year when he's not playing for a new contract and not playing to play for Brazil in the World Cup? Does he drop off again like he did a year ago? So keeping Casemiro is a big risk. But I've got to say, if we do want to keep him, it can only be because there is a lack of confidence that we can actually replace him. And that's the big concern for me. We were talking this morning about why we'll probably go for Baleba over Anderson, because it's an easier deal to do, because he's not in the World Cup and he's playing crap. So it's an easier deal to do and it's a cheaper deal to do. If we're looking to keep Casemiro, maybe that's the same thing as well. Maybe it's the same. I can't understand, and maybe somebody can make me understand, why, if you know you're getting Stiller and Anderson or Wharton and Baleba, if you know you're getting two good midfielders next summer, why on earth would you be saying, let's keep Casemiro? Doesn't make any sense to keep him. And people say, well, we could keep Casemiro, get two midfielders in, and then we've got an experienced player to help them out. When has that ever worked? When has Casemiro ever helped anybody out in his time here? I haven't seen him nurturing anybody, so that would be a complete and utter load of bullshit. And why would Casemiro sit on the bench and take a wage cut? I think if you're Casemiro and you're being asked to stay, and you're being asked to take a wage cut, I would be saying, the only way I'm going to contemplate taking a wage cut is if you're guaranteeing me I'm starting next season. Because if I'm a bench player, I'm not taking a pay cut. I may as well go to Saudi, Turkey, whatever. So I think it's, I think that I don't want to keep Casemiro. And I'm not even going to bore myself by telling you why. He hasn't got the legs anymore. He's protected by a back five. And he's 34 in February. And I'm also very concerned that he's playing well because it's World Cup year and he's playing for a new contract. So there's a load of red flags why I wouldn't keep Casemiro. That's my opinion. But Amorim apparently does want to. And Fabrizio Romano is somebody that you have to listen to. So I have to look at that and go, either we've got a manager that genuinely thinks Casemiro is good enough to stay for another season in the midfield for Man United, or two, or we've got a manager that's being told, we might not be able to rebuild the midfield the way you want to, so do you want to keep Casemiro? And I think it's probably the latter, to be honest with you. But I will respond to what Warren Jr. says here, and I do agree with him. He won't take a wage cut. He won't take a wage cut. I can't see that at all. I really can't, because why would you? You know, part of the reason you play well in your final year is so that when you're available, you've got options. And I don't imagine Man United on a pay cut being that good of an option for him. And when we talk about the options that are available for Casemiro and a pay cut, let's not forget he's rumoured to be on about 350k a week. A pay cut could be 200 grand a week. Maybe he fancies 200 grand a week, but like, what would we actually offer him? I mean, I find the whole story preposterous, to be honest. I don't really understand the angle. Maybe some of you, if you're tuning in, tell me why Man United are eager to continue with Casemiro. Give me the reasons that I may not have discussed, because I don't get it. I really don't get it. 34. You can remove a massive wage from your contract. And then when I say a massive wage, it's nearly 1.5 million a month. So why would we be eager to keep a player that's 34 on ridiculous money? Why? Why would we want to put this out there, that we want to do this? And also, we're almost like Oliver begging, aren't we? Because Casemiro has all the power. He's the one playing well. He's the one out of contract. He's the one on 350k a week. And it would be incredible if we gave him a contract on 150 or 200 grand a week anyway. So what is it we would actually offer him? And that's why I agree with Warren. I think we could only offer him, sensibly, we could only offer him 125 max. That's a 75% deduct. No, it's not 75%. It's a 60% reduction in his wages. No, it's more than that. What's 125,000 out of 350? It's about a 70% reduction in his wage, isn't it? He ain't going to do that. He ain't going to do that, is he? So we're either going to keep him and give him a stupid wage, or he's going to reject us anyway. So I don't really get it. I don't really get it. I really don't. And also, I must go back to what I'm saying there. There is no doubt he's our best midfielder at the moment. Right here, right now, he's our best midfielder. But our midfield isn't very good. We need to rebuild that midfield for the next 5 years. And we need to do it yesterday. So there needs to be... I look at what we did with Cunha and Mbeumo, and we spent £130 million on the number 10 position. Fine. They're both really good signings, but the midfield's more important than the number 10 position. We need to spend £130 million on our midfield as well. And £130 million on our midfield will be Stiller and Anderson. It will be that sort of quality. So bye-bye Casemiro and your... £15 million worth of wages that we're going to save, that can go towards building a midfield. There we go. Basic says maybe we're keeping him because he's a nice guy. I think we're probably keeping him, and I don't want to upset people with this, but again, sorry, I've just got to send this message. What I was going to say is, I think we're doing what the Glazers always do. Humour me for a moment. I know Amorim's the manager, Barada's the CEO, and Sir Jim's Ineos. But this reminds me of what the Glazers do. It's the easy option. And Harry Maguire is part of this story as well, from Romano, that Man United want to keep Maguire if he takes a pay cut. I'm just going to say it. We're owned by the Glazers. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like, the wolf is still there. Like, this is a Glazer tactic. They don't like selling and replacing players. They would rather keep a player because it's cheaper. For example, if you keep Casemiro and you don't buy Baleba, you've just saved yourself 60 million quid, or however much it costs to get Baleba. Because if Casemiro walks out the door, you get nothing. And if Baleba comes in the door, it costs you 60 million. If Casemiro stays and you get a wage cut, you've actually saved money and not bought a midfielder. It's Glazer-nomics. It's got nothing to do with bloody Amorim or Ineos. I think this is a Glazer tactic, and that's why we're trying to do it, because it's the easy option. We don't run out. Keep a midfielder for free and get him to take a pay cut. You're actually saving money. Let him go for nothing. Yeah, you save his wages, but you've still got to pay someone else wages and a transfer fee. Replacing Casemiro costs you 60, 70 million pounds. Keeping Casemiro on a pay cut costs you nothing and saves you probably, I don't know, what, 8 million a year? I think it could be that. I think it could be that, really. Or, well, somebody just said, do you think it's Casemiro's agent leaking it to Romano? I think United would be very quick to put that out there, that that's not what they're doing. Keel says it's because Amorim is a chancer. This is working so far. He'll ride the wave till it falls, make a good speech, then chance something else. Oh, I didn't know you were Amorim out, Keel, to be honest. Can you compare Leeds midfield to ours, says Lawson? Nah. Does anybody remember when Yaya Toure left City and then said he would play at us for £1 a week, says Tom McBride. Lewis Marsh says, we should go for some sporting players. I know Ten Hag did it and it didn't really work out, but he changed the way he played and Amorim hasn't, says Lewis Marsh. Emily Derry says, I think there are better and more affordable options than Casemiro who will be available next summer, even outside our named shortlist. Thank you very much, Emily. And United Nick says, I don't want to keep Casemiro. However, if he was to take a considerable pay cut, I would keep him, but I can't see him accepting a £200,000 a week pay cut. And let's not forget, it would have to be that. If he's on 300 grand a week, you'd want to take him down to 100. If he's on 350 grand a week, you'd want to take him down to 150k. I mean, he can literally go and play in Turkey and earn what he's earning now. He can earn 300 grand a week in Turkey because they don't have the same tax. So, yeah, I can't see that being the case at all, to be completely honest with you. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. What's your thoughts on Angry Ginge in the Jungle, says What's Up Sham. Good luck to him. I don't watch I'm a Celebrity and I'm not about to start now. Bonnie Blue FC says Keel Robinson. And Frank says, people complaining about volume. What kind of device are you watching on? Do you have only one volume setting? Get a refund on that device, says Frank. Apologies, I think I just fell into the trap. I've been working on a few other things and, I am eager to please this fantastic community. And there was quite a lot of people talking about volume at the start. So thank you to the real community who are here to actually talk about football. Thank you very much for that. No use telling the world we're not considering an extension. Keep the guy motivated, performing for now, says Forsell. It's an interesting one. You're sort of saying we won't really renew. We're just saying it to keep Casemiro motivated. The Willian effect would kick in anyway. If he's got to play, if he knows United don't want to keep him, he's got to play for a new deal anyway. So I don't think we need to do that. Also, the World Cup's coming up. That's going to motivate him. I don't think we need to publicly put it out there that we need to keep him motivated. I think we put it out there that we want to keep him because we do want to keep him. I mean, God. Look, there is short term and there is long term. I just want to quantify this by saying I think we're going to beat Everton tomorrow. I think there's going to be a big buzz tomorrow night and for the rest of the week because we're going to be in 4th place. People are going to start thinking about top 4. People will start getting excited. People will get over positive about the team. And, people will probably start saying we don't need midfielders. We've got Casemiro and Bruno. I mean, I couldn't think of anything worse than going into next season with Casemiro and Bruno in our midfield. But maybe Bruno goes and Casemiro stays. Maybe United are going, let's keep Casemiro and pocket the money from Bruno. I don't like that either. I don't like that. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe I've nailed it. Maybe we can only lose one of Bruno and Casemiro. And maybe the club are going, let's kick Bruno out because it's money. It's 60, 70 million pounds from Saudi and it's 300 grand a week off the wage bill. Casemiro, all right, we save a bit on wages. We don't get any money for him. If we've got to get rid of one of them, it's got to be Bruno for the money. I mean, I would keep Bruno over Casemiro. So, again, everywhere I look at this, it's got the Glazers' fingerprints all over it. It's all about easy options, money. And, maybe it is that. Maybe we keep Casemiro and Bruno goes. I would keep Bruno. It's because, anyway, Keel said he's a chancer. Thank you for your service, but it's time to go, says Boogie. What, me or Casemiro? Rory C says, you do realise we have won most midfield battles this season with Casemiro. Also, if we get Europe, his experience will be good for young midfielders. Oh my God. It's an opinion. 6 people have liked it. Well done, Rory. You do realise he'll be 34 next season going into the Champions League, and he won't have a World Cup to motivate him, and he'll have his new contract. I mean, I think that's a huge risk. A huge risk to go into next season with Casemiro, and then talk about his experience. What was his experience doing 18 months ago when our midfield was being run through like Bonnie Blue? You know, what was his experience? What's his experience done for Manu? What's it done for Agate? I don't see Casemiro nurturing anyone in the midfield. I see him developing himself, but I don't see this leadership bollocks. I don't see it at all. I don't see that from Casemiro. So look, if that changes or I'm wrong, fair play. But I don't see Manu developing that well under Casemiro. I don't see Agate developing that much under Casemiro. So, you know, maybe that's reflection on Agate and Manu. I don't know. Maybe Casemiro is like Ronaldo going, I want to help them, but they don't want to listen. But it's certainly not enough to keep a player for me when I want to rebuild the midfield, Rory. I want to catch Arsenal, Rory. You know, I want to compete against Bayern Munich, Rory. And to do that, my advice is build a new midfield, not keep working with the same one. As Keel said, polish a turd FC. We just keep repackaging the same shit and expecting a different outcome. We need to remodel that midfield. And personally, I would rather have a brand new midfield than have people hanging around with experience going, I know what to do. Look, it's a little bit like Harry Maguire, isn't it? We're going to keep him around for his experience. But the unique experience of Harry Maguire is I was really shit. People wanted to sell me. The club wanted to sell me. But I stuck around, I fought back, and I've had some great moments. I can help you when you have bad times. I understand that, but I also look at this so-called experience at United and go, we're bringing new players in like Cunha and Mbeumo, etc. Do you want them to be listening to Casemiro, Bruno, Luke Shaw? Do you want them to be listening to them? Are they the right role models, or do we build new role models? And I want to build a new midfield. I don't want midfielders to come in and listen to the current lot because they have failed consistently. I watched Spurs today. I watched Spurs against Arsenal today. New manager, some new players, same old Spurs. Completely and utterly sponsored by npower. Light Switch FC. That is ingrained into their football club to be inconsistent. We could be that team if we're not careful. We need to rebuild and reset as much of this football club as we can. And that's what I would look to do in the midfield. Taking the easy option has cost United for years. Our midfield needs to improve if we're going to establish ourselves in European football. Think of the revenue versus the cost of that investment, says Emily. Very good point. All these people saying keep players for their experience and mentorship, but their experience is in losing. Get them out and get some new blood, says K-Dirk. Exactly. I think it's... look, you know, obviously I was away last week, and maybe you've missed the debates. Maybe you haven't missed the debates, but this is the way I've always done content. There's no point doing this every night at 8 o'clock to me if it's not going to stimulate me in a passionate way. And I have always done that and always will do that, and I don't make any apologies for it. It's not personal, but I'm very passionate about Manchester United, and that's why I do this. And honestly, we're in a good position. We're going to talk about top 4 hopes in a moment, but the reality is the last 10 years haven't gone the way we wanted to at every juncture of potential optimism. So excuse me for going, you know what, I'm not just going to jump on this and go everything's great. And I have more experience than Amorim as being a Man United fan, and so do you. And if Ruben Amorim thinks our leadership team's really important to keep around, I think he's wrong. And I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I think he's wrong. What are they experienced in? Hey, come to Man United. I'm really experienced in getting beat 7-0 at Anfield or 5-0 at Old Trafford or not turning up for a massive Europa League final. And that's the sort of the way I look at it. I think it's the leaders I want are De Ligt, Mazraoui, Cunha, Mbeumo. I want to build a new Man United under Ruben Amorim. I don't want to retain people who don't know how to win. As I've said before, With Harry Maguire, I'm a little bit more on the fence, and he is another player that Man United want to keep if he'll take a wage cut. I do get that. English player, homegrown quota, etc. But also, he has experience of the downs and the ups of playing for Manchester United, and I can get that. But you know what? Harry Maguire might look at it and go, I just want to play football. I mean, I don't know whether any... I think Maguire will stay because he's on 180 grand a week. United will probably knock it down to 120. He ain't going to get 120 anywhere else. So I think Maguire will ultimately stay. I can't see... If it comes to money, no one's going to give Harry Maguire 100 grand a week. He's out of contract, but I don't think they will. I think somebody should. I think if you were Everton or a lower level Premier League club, maybe a Fulham, Harry Maguire on 100 grand a week on a free might actually be a good signing. But I don't think anyone's going to go near Maguire at 100 grand a week, so I think he will stay. Casemiro, I think somebody will be willing to give him decent money. I'm Amorim in doubt. I can't ignore my eyes. How much luck have we had this season, says Keel Robinson. You should have a chat with Marlowe. Mate. John United says, summer is a long way off. It could simply be about keeping the peace because things are working. Players are weird creatures. One thing can throw them off, says John United. And Desiree says, a proper owner would bring Stiller in January, then Anderson, a left wing back and a centre back in the summer. But this is Glinios. Thank you very much for that. And here is Marlowe. People must stop hyping Rasmus to have a pop at Sesko. Rasmus has only 2 goals in Serie A and won only 30% of his duels. Sesko is an upgrade. I didn't know people were doing that, Marlowe. Look, Rasmus is a top lad. I wish it had worked out at Man United. He's made the right move. We've made the right move. And Sesko is the future. I feel that we are... apparently, there is a bit of a volume problem tonight. I reckon it must be YouTube. Because nothing's been altered at my end. So apparently on phone it's fine, and on desktop it's a bit of a pain. So yeah, God knows. I haven't hit anything. I haven't changed anything. So I can't control that. Apologies for that. But look, I think going back to that Rasmus super chat from Marlowe, I don't really see anybody saying it. Most of the people I think I see want Sesko to do well. Yeah, simple as that. Taking the easy option has cost United for years, says Emily Derry. I think I've done that one, haven't I? Yeah, I did do that one as well. Amorim wants to keep all his pensioners, including Bruno, says Vincent Weasley Potter. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, so look, I've had my say there. 69% of you don't want to keep Casemiro. 31% of you do. Look, obviously, that's 70-30. Want Casemiro to go, but I'd still say 30% of you who want to keep him. That's still a significant number. I mean, you've lost, but it's not a pounding. It's still, I would say why, but you don't have to tell me why. I don't really get it. I don't really get what the point is, but you know, it's your choice at the end of the day. I just think that, to be blunt, he is our best midfielder at the moment. But on 300 grand a week, I'd actually expect more. You know, that's the thing I think people miss completely. Oh, Casemiro's doing really well at the moment. What's your agenda with Casemiro? And I'm like, he is doing well, but he ain't doing 300 grand a week well, is he? He might be doing 150 grand a week well, but he ain't doing 350 grand a week. And that's something I think people miss here. Casemiro is doing well, but he ain't doing 300 grand a week well. He's doing about 150 grand a week. We massively paid for him, and I think it's been a mistake. Casemiro's been a mistake. And to be here at the end of that mistake, going, let's continue it, I'm sort of like, he'd have to take a considerable pay cut. really. I had a super chat and it's just disappeared, so I'm going to just come in and come out. Thank you very much. I want to talk to you about Lyon, actually, very, very quickly. A source from South America has basically come out saying that Manchester United are looking to loan him out in January. And I think that this is a really interesting and positive thing. I don't see any value at all in Obi, Mainu, Heaven, Lyon training with the first team. I think there's a value in Lacey and Thwaites and some of the younger lads training with the first team. But I think when you're Lyon, Heaven, Obi, Mainu, Kone, it becomes a second place to playing first team football. And they're not going to play first team football. So I think they need to, they do need to go out on loan. And look at what Amas. Some people moaned about Amas going out on loan. Look at Amas compared to Lyon. Amas is playing week in, week out for Sheffield Wednesday and doing fantastically well. And Sheffield Wednesday are a championship club, one off the Prem, in a very competitive league. Lyon is training with the first team. Amas is developing better. Amas is in a better situation. It's like two England prospects. One of them's playing week in, week out. One of them's training with Arsenal. The one who's playing week in, week out is going to be in a better situation. So apparently Lyon's favourably looking at a loan. Man United are looking at it. I think it's a great idea. And I think that if we can get Obi out on loan as well, and Kone out on loan as well, and Mainu out on loan as well, I think it's far better for these players to be playing than just training with the first team. And as we know, in training, it's not competitive. It's not the same as a football match. Some people do train hard, some people don't. So I think it's a real positive for Lyon, and hopefully that we can do that. And Lee Dixon says, I've said this for ages, Amas is a better player than Dorgu and Lyon. Well, he will be a better player in the summer if he's playing first team football. And you know, under 23s or whatever it is they play, that's not a level either. You've got to be playing first team football. The only difference between the Championship and the Premier League is quality, really. Physicality is the same. Intensity is the same. It's just a quality thing. You know, teams are better in the Premier League than the Championship, but you're playing against professional footballers, and that's what needs to be happening. Andreas says, hey, now your colour looks amazing again. Sorry I bothered you live on TF. Looks awesome. Have a good one, Mark. You're a champ. Brilliant charity. No, Andreas, you weren't the only one who said it. We've, I think, I changed my camera a few weeks ago, and we've had a few problems sort of getting it back to, you know, anything like it was before. So I appreciate your feedback on that. Thank you very much. Suraj says, we are acting as if no player in the market has leadership qualities. It's insane to have footballers at a club just for this reason. Well, Suraj, look at Kevin De Bruyne and Manchester City, one of the best players in the Premier League history, certainly a leader at Man City, and he's replaced him with Cherky. You know, I don't think Pep was bothered about leadership qualities, was he? You know, I think he's worried about. I think he's thinking about what his team is. Yeah. Why have all the usernames changed on YouTube? I don't know. I'm obviously reading super chats, and Emily Derry's name's different. Patrick Lynch's name is different. It must be a YouTube thing. I think I vaguely remember reading something about it a few weeks ago that they were going to do this, but I can't remember why they've done it. Thank you very much to Suraj. Amorim wants to keep all his pensioners have done that one as well. So let's talk about this. Thank you to Surfshark. Remember to check that out. Fantastic offer on a VPN for you. But let's have a look at this. And tomorrow night, this is going to look even better. I'm convinced. So we're in 10th place, which is just ignore it because we played a game less than everybody else. We win tomorrow, and we go straight into. Do we go into 4th? Yeah, we'll go into 4th if we win because we've got a better goal difference than Villa. So we go 4th tomorrow if we win. What are we thinking about that? Anders says, I'm looking forward to the match tomorrow. Thanks for being a member, mate. What are your thoughts on it? Because the reason I ask is I was doing the Arsenal-Spurs game earlier, and there was a few people saying title charge. There was a few people saying we can do top 4, and then there was a few people saying we can go into 5th. We'll go above Villa if we win. Loads of people are saying 5th in the chat. Do your maths. They're on a +1 goal difference. We're on a +1 goal difference. If we win, we'll be on +2 at least. So we'll go to 4th tomorrow night if we win against Everton. My thought process is this: Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City should all be top 4 again. They've got a better squad, and they've spent very, very well in the summer. So they should all be top 4. If we get in the top 4, build a statue for Amorim, regardless of whether he's playing long ball or Casemiro and Bruno in the midfield. In fact, build 2 statues if he does it that way. But if we get top 4, then that's incredible. That is an incredible achievement. And it might be because other clubs fall off. Sometimes that can happen. I don't think we'd be in the top 4 if Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal played all season to the best of their capability. Far from it. And Liverpool are having a nightmare, and Man City look vulnerable, and Chelsea sometimes do as well. So look, I'm not going to say we can't do top 4, but I think if we did, I would have to say to all of you, that is no small feat at all. That is an incredible achievement. As far as title races go, get out and don't come back. I don't want to hear about title races, because what people are really saying is, could we scam second place? A title race is challenging for a title. Ollie wasn't in a title race and Jose wasn't in a title race, and they both finished second because they finished second by about 1 million points. We were never in a title race, we just finished second. So we won't be in a title race because Arsenal are already 8 points ahead of us if we win tomorrow night, and we're not closing that gap. So we're not, title race, forget it. This is not about... Oh, Villa are on a +4. That's me glasses. Well, we could be 4th. That's annoyed me a little bit. I thought we went 4th if we won. Well, we might. Whoa. I said we'd win at least 3-0 tomorrow, so that puts us on +4 as well. So we're 4th. Just wait for the score. So yeah, look. I think 4th would be... I think top 4 would be incredible. I think a title race is ridiculous. So look, title race, forget it. Idiot. Top 4, if it happens, it's amazing. 5th place, real talk. Realistic talk. Yeah, 5th place is real. If I look at this league table now, and I look at the league table at the start of the season, I said somewhere between 5th and 10th is where United were going to finish. And I think I said 5th. I think I did. I might have said 6th. So I have to remember what I said at the start of the season, because that gives you the gravity to be realistic and say, you know, you've got to look at the start of the season, you've got to look at where we are now. And at the start of the season, I was like, well, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, top 4. And then you've got Newcastle, 5th, Villa, 5th, maybe Spurs, 5th, and us, 5th. So it's tough. You could finish 5th, you could finish 8th. I look at it now, forget about Spurs. I mean, what we've learnt about Spurs over the last 2 weeks is it's a fucking joke that we can't play well in the second half, because that should have been 3 points. Spurs are dreadful. How we nearly lost to Spurs, I do not know. I mean, that's... I know we got a last-minute equaliser, but that's incredibly, that's 3 points dropped. Why we didn't beat Spurs, I'll never know. But we didn't, and we didn't lose. Newcastle, I think, are too far back. I know it's not. I know they're not massively far back with their win yesterday, but I think their squad, Champions League football, Carabao Cup football, I think Newcastle are already out of it. So that leaves sort of us and Villa as the favourites for 5th, which, funnily enough, will be 4th and 5th tomorrow. And Villa look very good after a bad start. But I also think Villa, with European football, will clearly drop points. And also, like we did in March and April, they'll have to start prioritising Thursday night at the expense of points on a Sunday. So I don't see Villa maintaining a top 5 position. So where things are at the moment, even if I put Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City in the top 4, tell me who's going to be 5th other than us. Because it ain't going to be Palace, it ain't going to be Brighton, it ain't going to be Bournemouth, it ain't going to be Spurs, it ain't going to be Sunderland. It's going to be us, Newcastle or Villa. And I think we're in a stronger position than Newcastle and Villa. So the way I look at the league table at the moment, and it's dangerous, it's very, very dangerous because it only takes a couple of bad results against teams like West Ham and Everton and Newcastle, etc. But where tonight I sort of look at it and go, I wouldn't be so arrogant as to say it's ours to lose, but I'd certainly say it's ours to win. I think 5th place has opened its arms, and it said something else to us, and it's there to be grabbed, certainly. Liam Woodall says have to win by 3 to get in the top 4. Well, we need to start doing that anyway. Our goal difference has been terminally shit for years. I mean, we very rarely are plus goal difference in the last few years. We've really struggled on goal difference. So I think that tomorrow night, let's go and do what we did to them last year. Let's go and beat them 4-0. Like, we do need to start putting teams to bed properly, and it will help us. And as Lawrence Berry says, we've got to stop conceding as well. I'm surprised the goals we've conceded in the last couple of games. I'm surprised we've conceded 4 goals in the last 2 games, because I sometimes look at that back 5, and Lamens has been good in goal, and I think, how are we letting in goals when we are quite a defensive side with this counter-attacking football? So hopefully a clean sheet tomorrow and 3 or 4 goals. It'd be nice to be in the top 4, but I'll be very content with 21 points, 4th or 5th with Villa anyway. And then that Palace game becomes very interesting because they'd be 6th. Despite my Amorim doubt, I still see us getting top 4 if we get a centre midfielder in January. It's such a weird season. Everyone can beat anyone convincingly, says Keel Robinson. Yeah, and I think that plays into our hands, absolutely. Thank you very much to Keel. Oh, God. Mark, City are too reliant on Haaland. When he doesn't play well, City look ordinary. I think we have a great chance. Liverpool are shit and don't look like anything from last year, says Bill. Yeah, and just going back to the top 4 conversation, I think if you're looking at Chelsea, Man City and Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool, we are very close to them. And if you can stay close to them and they keep dropping points, then you just got to stay in the race, haven't you? I mean, look, I don't massively care if we finish 5th or 3rd. Obviously, I'd rather finish 3rd, but I think both positions will lead to Champions League football. 5th might not because of the coefficient thing, but the English clubs are doing really well in Europe, so I think it will anyway. All that matters to me is Champions League football. I think that opens the door to a lot of things in the summer that the Conference League and the Europa League won't. Need to sort the midfield out first, as United Nick. Look, I actually was going to say that anyway. I don't think we can't get Champions League football with Casemiro and Bruno in the midfield. I just look at the way we're playing at the moment, the short-termism, the get the job done, the basics, and we're scoring 2 goals a game. If we can stop conceding 2 goals a game, we'll win a lot of games. I don't think we're going to do it with loads of possession. I don't think we'll do it with, scintillating football every week. But if you are building something for the future, if you can do that based on winning games and hitting targets, then next season you go again, don't you? And you keep building. Look, what I'm trying to say is I don't think the Keels and everybody else are going to suddenly go, Amorim's the guy. I mean, incredibly, Arsenal still have fans that are Arteta out. They're going to win the bloody league, and there's still people who are Arteta out. So it's not that easy for managers to win their fans around. What Amorim needs to do is just keep winning. And we can get Champions League football even with Casemiro and Bruno, because I think there is goals in the team. And that's probably why they spent so much money on the attack. Personally, I think we could have bought a midfielder in, and it might have helped us. With Sesko, Mbeumo and Cunha, though, score more goals. win more games. Cap or Die says, anyone but Arsenal, please. What, you'd rather Liverpool or City win it over Arsenal? Not for me. I mean, and I didn't like Arsenal in the late 90s. They were a big rival of ours, but I would never want Liverpool or Man City to win it over Arsenal. I nearly got caught. Actually, this is quite United relevant, actually. Somebody said to me on the watch-along this afternoon, who would you rather win the league out of, Arsenal and Chelsea? And I did say, to be fair, Arsenal were more of a rival for me growing up than Chelsea, so I'd probably say Chelsea, because I liked Chelsea in the 90s when they had people like Vialli and Hullet and Zola. I always used to quite like watching Chelsea. I mean, they weren't a team that was going to win the league, but I quite liked watching them. And then I remembered who plays for Chelsea, Garnacho. So I want Arsenal over. I don't want that prat walking around with a Premier League title sat on the bloody advertising board being all smug about it. So no, I'm sorry, Chelsea. In normal circumstances, I would rather you win the league over Arsenal. But the minute you bought that Garnacho, you can do one. Absolutely do one. I don't want you winning the league at all. He's a turbo prat. No thanks. Watching Uncle Mark tonight with my 4.5-month daughter, says Raja. Shout out to Avani. Do United look to sign a lone striker in January given Sesko's form and injuries? I still think that United could go for a striker in January. I don't. There are obvious options like Ivan Toney. I don't think United will do that. So, yeah, I don't think so. But I still think they could do something. John B says the Garnacho hate is so manufactured. I just don't feel it. Yeah, I don't feel the hate either, mate, because I don't hate anybody. I just don't like Garnacho as a footballer, and I don't want him to win anything because he's smug. And he also shit all over this fan base who had his back. So, yeah, I don't tend to wish people well who shit all over things I care about. It's not hate. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of hating on him. I don't think about him enough, but I don't want him to win the Premier League at Chelsea because I don't like him as a footballer. Somebody said to me today, Suarez, Lewandowski and Benzema start, bench, sell. I said, I don't care how good Suarez was, sell. And they were going mad saying, oh, he's way better than Benzema. He's way better. No. I couldn't give a shit if he's better than Messi. I'd rather play Harvey Barnes. I ain't got no time for Suarez because he's a shithouse. He shat on this football club and one of our players, and he can do one. I don't care how good he was. He doesn't get any respect. He doesn't get any praise. He doesn't pass go. He doesn't get put ahead of Benzema and Lewandowski. I don't care how good he was. He's a shithouse. He can do one. Simple as that. And that, maybe people disagree with me. Maybe people agree with me. But if you shit on this football club, forget it. Forget it. And if you shit on the fans, even worse. And old Garnacho needs to bloody grow up. And he can go and grow up at Chelsea. But you walked around in a Villa shirt, mate, and you acted like a bellend. So no, I don't wish Chelsea win the league over Arsenal. I think Casemiro is one yellow card away from a ban, says Stephen. He won't be playing against Palace then, will he? I don't know whether that's true. We do need to start looking at that actually, because that will start to bite a little bit. And I've got to say, we don't want to be missing Casemiro for Palace. I've got a funny feeling. Well, let's get Everton out of the way. But I've got a funny feeling we might beat Palace on Sunday. It's a weird kickoff time. It's midday on Sunday, and they're playing Thursday night in the Europa Conference League. So I think we've got a really big opportunity against Crystal Palace at their place on Sunday, because the turnaround is ridiculous. I mean, I'd be moaning about that. They play Strasbourg in France on Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and then they play Man United at midday on Sunday at Selhurst Park. So I think it's a really good opportunity for us in one of our hardest games in the next 10 games to get a win. Be very interesting. Fantastic show tonight, by the way. I've absolutely loved it. I hope you have as well. It's been fantastic. Lee Berman says, I land back in England from a night out in Belgium that Sunday, then have that to watch. Lovely stuff. Enjoy it. Casemiro doing good lately. I won't jinx it though, but no early bookings lately. I don't know whether that's true about Casemiro and the yellow cards. I wonder if I can do Premier League Yellow card table. Let's have a look at this. Oh, for God's sake. You know, some websites, it's add. 22nd of November, 2025. Who's at risk? Players close to a one-match ban. No, I can't. Casemiro's not there. Casemiro's not there. Dorgu's on 4 yellow cards. And Casemiro's on 3. So he's 2 away from a... So he won't miss the Palace game, basically. Dorgu's 1 away. Casemiro's 2 away. There you go. Visit any Christmas markets, says BP. Well, I was at the Bryant Park in New York Christmas market. That was very good. I'd check that out if you were there, if you're over there. And I might pop into the German market in Birmingham at some point over the next few weeks. Yeah. Looking at the fixture list, I would say Casemiro should look at getting his 2 yellow cards in the next 2 games, and then West Ham at home might be a good one, or Wolves away. Yeah. Anyway, great show tonight, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And tomorrow, I've got to say, now we've got through the weekend, I'm not that bothered about Monday Night Football. It's been horrible through the weekend, but now we've got through the weekend. Tomorrow's a match day. So I'm actually quite, well, I'm very much looking forward to it. So looking at that. Thank you everybody for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I'll be with you tomorrow on the 10 a.m. show. Thanks for watching. Speak to you later.